Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon, classmates. So let's continue discussing about kinds of credit according to type of users, which I believe the first one, the consumer credit, was discussed by the previous reporter. So let's proceed to the second type, which is the mercantile credit, which is also sometimes called as commercial credit. It is a type of credit which one business may extend to another when selling goods on time for resale or commercial use. It is also the characteristic feature of our modern economy. So example of this is when you buy a book of ukay-ukay on credit with the intention of reselling it by piece. So we have the third one, which is bank credit. This is a type of credit given by commercial banks to businessmen intended to assist the operation of their business. So when we say operation of business, it involves everything that keeps the company or business running or earn money or gain profit. Then this also involves revolving credit, which is a combination of charge account and installment plan. In addition, a revolving credit is an agreement that permits an account holder to repeatedly borrow money up to set limit while repaying the portion of the balance due in regular payments. The last type of kinds of credit according to type of user, the investment credit, which is a type of credit that is utilized by business organization for purchase of fixed assets or to carry minimum business operations. Example of fixed asset is property, plant, and equipment, building, and land. And it also consists of advances used for purchase or construction of necessary property, plant, and equipment. So there are five major sources available from which funds of long-term investment may be secured, such as funds from individual investor, which is also termed as retail investors or retail traders. Next is we have the trustees of individuals and estates, insurance companies, banking institutions, and business concerns. So let's proceed to the kinds of credit according to whether merchandise or money is given. First is we have the merchandise credit, which is a type of credit which the consumer or the customer acquire goods or services in exchange for his promise to pay them at a later date. So it means nga giutang lang sa ay common example is that when we um, bought products on Avon, Natasha, personal collection, like usually mag-acquire lang ta sa goods, then later na nato siya bayaran. Uh, the next is we have the borrowing money. Besides the pressing necessity of obtaining goods and services on credit, one is confronted with the need for money which he or she is trying to obtain through borrowing. So, ni-acquire Japan siya sa goods and services pero nanghilam siya kwarta sa lain nga tawo to obtain the goods and services. Now, let's proceed to the kinds of credit according to purpose. First, we have the agricultural credit, which is the kind of credit that consists of those loans which are intended for the acquisition of fertilizers, pesticides, seedlings, and any instruments, machinery, and other movable equipment used for the production, processing, transformation, handling, or transportation of agricultural products. Furthermore, this is the type of credit which our farmers needed in order to grow the agricultural sector, specially adapted to the specific financial needs of farmers and allow them to secure equipment, plant, harvest, marketing, and do the other things in order to keep their farms running. Next is we have the export credit. As is generally observed, export trade may be pushed by means of extension of credit to to the buyers as is common practice, or it can also be done through the basis of the arrival of goods but before the buyer takes possession of them. So simply, cash is not paid before the shipment of the goods out of the country. Third one is we have the industrial credit, which is a type of credit intended for the financing needs of industries, especially those industries that involves big amount of money, like fishing, logging, and manufacturing. Then the fourth one is we have the commercial credit, which is also termed as the mercantile credit, which I believe was discussed under the kinds of credit according to type of user. So again, mercantile credit is a type of credit which one business may extend to another when selling goods for time for resale or commercial use. And lastly, we have the real estate credit, which is a type of credit intended for the acquisition, construction, expansion, or improvements of real estate properties. Next, let's proceed to the kinds of credit according to maturity. First is we have the short-term credit, which is a type of credit payable within 1 year from the date of acquisition. So it is a credit payable within the span of 1 year. So if you acquire goods and services and account on January 1, 2022, it must be paid before the year end. Next is we have the medium or intermediate credit, which is a type of credit that ranges from 1 year to 5 years in maturity. And lastly, we have the long-term credit, which is a type of credit that is payable 5 years and above. Next, we have the government or public credit, which means a pledging of the goods and the resources of the nation for the repayment of a debt incurred in behalf of the people. So, which means the government serve as a representative in acquiring credit for the benefit of his people, like for the improvements of our infrastructures, for us to uplift our lives after a typhoon, and many others. Then public credit consists of all the claims against the government which may be payable through goods or services but usually in cash to foreign governments or individuals or to persons, natural or juridical. Government continually engaged the foreign borrowing money in order to obtain the necessary funds with which it enables to continue its various projects and programs. Like at present, we have the Build program. Among the sources of credit which had been tapped by our government, we have three, namely the World Bank, the International Monetary Fund. Lastly, we have the Export-Import Bank of Washington, D.C. That would be all for today. Thank you for listening.